At 11:47 p.m., Daniel's phone lit up. A message from his manager. "We need to talk tomorrow morning." 6 ordinary words. No explanation, no emoji. Just enough empty space for his mind to begin writing a disaster. By midnight, Daniel had already been fired in 3 different versions of the future. In one, he couldn't pay rent. In another, his friends quietly decided he was a failure. His body reacted as though every scene were already happening. He reread the message. Same pixels, same sentence. Yet the story around it grew darker. So what was hurting him? The message or the movie his mind built around it? If you've ever watched a delayed reply become rejection, one mistake become a ruined career, or one awkward silence become proof that nobody wants you there, you know this machinery. The event happens once. The mind can make it happen 100 times. Daniel blamed the message, but it never mentioned failure, rent, or humiliation. His mind supplied every detail. If thought helped create the fear, could thought also change what happened next? Morning was about to expose something. At 9, Daniel entered the meeting exhausted. His manager opened a folder and said, "I want you to lead the new project." The catastrophe vanished. Yet nothing about last night's message had changed. The event was still 6 words. What changed was their meaning. Somewhere between situation and emotion, Daniel's mind had made an interpretation, and his nervous system had treated that interpretation like a fact. This gap is where cognitive behavioral approaches begin. A situation occurs. An automatic thought appears, often so quickly we barely notice it. That thought shapes emotion and behavior. Automatic does not mean foolish. It means learned and fast. Daniel did not consciously choose, "I'm getting fired." It arrived with the authority of breaking news. The thought produced fear, tight chest, restless stomach, racing attention. Fear then shaped behavior, rereading the message, searching for hidden clues, avoiding sleep. Each behavior fed the thought, "Look how afraid I am. Something terrible must be coming." CBT does not simply say, "Think positive." It makes the hidden sequence visible. What happened? What did you tell yourself? What did you feel and do? Then it tests whether the thought is accurate, useful, or missing evidence. It also experiments with action, facing, practicing, solving, because thinking and behavior teach each other. But why should one interpretation matter so much? Imagine 2 people send the same text to a friend and receive no reply. One thinks, "They're busy," and returns to work. The other thinks, "I've annoyed them," checks the phone 20 times, then sends an apology for something that may never have happened. Same silence, different meaning, different emotion, different behavior. 2 people can share the event without inhabiting the same psychological world. This does not mean events are irrelevant. A rejection can genuinely hurt. Danger can be real. It means our experience contains 2 layers, what happened and the judgment the mind adds. This sounds modern. It is not. To find an earlier version of this idea, we leave Daniel's apartment and travel back nearly 2,000 years to a man who had almost no control over his life, yet taught the world how to be free. His name was Epictetus. Born near the middle of the 1st century in Hierapolis in what is now Turkey, he spent part of his life enslaved in Rome. There, owning almost nothing, he studied Stoic philosophy and eventually gained his freedom. Later, after philosophers were expelled from Rome, he opened a school in Nicopolis. He never wrote a book. His student Arian did. The teaching came down to one habit: examine your impressions. Separate what's up to you from what isn't. Don't mistake the story for the thing itself. Before anything else, pause. One sentence in the Enchiridion still sounds startlingly modern. Men are disturbed, not by things, but by the principles and notions which they form concerning things. In modern language, our interpretations help shape the suffering that follows. Epictetus wasn't doing therapy, and Stoicism isn't CBT. He cared about virtue, judgment, and freedom. Modern therapy runs on clinical method and evidence. The 2 aren't the same, and that difference matters. but the family resemblance is hard to miss, and one psychologist made it explicit. In the 1950s, psychologist Albert Ellis built one of the first cognitive behavioral approaches, rational emotive behavior therapy. He quoted Epictetus openly, and his claim was nearly the same. What disturbs us isn't only what happens, but the belief we fasten to it. Aaron Beck came from a different direction, clinical work, and reached the same neighborhood. How you see a situation and how you react are nearly one motion. Now a thought was something two people could examine together. The old sentence had new instruments. So let's use one. Return to Daniel at 11:47. First question. What happened? Only the observable facts. His manager wrote, "We need to talk tomorrow morning." Stop there. No mind reading, no prediction, just the camera's version of events. Second, what did Daniel tell himself? I'm being fired, I'll fail, everyone will know. These are thoughts, not crimes. The goal is not to shame them or force them away, it's to place them on the page where they can be examined. Third, what evidence supports the prediction and what evidence does not? Perhaps his manager sounded distant yesterday, but Daniel also received good feedback last week, and the message gave no reason for the meeting. Uncertainty is real. Certainty of disaster is not. Fourth, what is a balanced, useful response? Not, everything will be perfect. Try, I don't know what the meeting is about. I can handle the conversation when it happens. Tonight I can prepare 2 questions and then sleep. Notice what changed. Daniel did not control his manager, tomorrow, or the final outcome. He worked with what was available: attention, judgment, and the next action. Calm was not guaranteed. Choice had simply returned. That is where Epictetus and cognitive therapy briefly share a table. But we need one warning. Taken carelessly, this idea can sound cruel. If you're suffering, it's just your thinking. No, trauma, injustice, loss, illness, and material conditions are real. Emotions are not logical errors to be deleted. The point is smaller and more useful. Pain may arrive from the world. The mind can add a second wound: prophecy, self-condemnation, or the belief that this moment will last forever. This week, catch one frightening interpretation. Write the facts. Name the story. Ask, what else could be true? Then choose one useful action. Another message appears. Daniel breathes. This time, his mind waits for reality before writing the ending.